Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the stars through the main view screen. Her ship was humanity's finest warship, built with the best technology Earth could create. The crew of 800 souls had been traveling through space for 3 months, carrying out peaceful missions and protecting human colonies. Today felt different. Martinez had been a ship captain for 15 years, and she had learned to trust her feelings. Something was wrong in this part of space, though she could not say what. "Captain," called First Officer Amy Carter from her station. "We're getting a signal from Kepler Station. They want to talk to you right away." Martinez walked to the communication console. The face of Admiral Johnson appeared on the screen. He looked worried. "Lisa, we have a problem. Long-range sensors have detected unknown ships near your position. They're big, and there are a lot of them. We think they might be hostile." Before Martinez could respond, the ship's alert systems began to sound. Lieutenant Jake Morrison at the tactical station looked up with wide eyes. "Captain, we have 37 unknown vessels dropping out of hyperspace. They're surrounding us." Martinez felt her stomach drop. She had never seen so many enemy ships at once. Through the view screen, she could see them appearing like ghosts materializing from nothing. The ships were beautiful and terrible at the same time. They looked like they were made of crystal, catching and bending the light of nearby stars. "This is War Commander Vexthul of the Zephyrian Imperial Fleet." The voice came through the communication system, cold and filled with authority. "You humans have entered sacred Zephyrian space. You will surrender your ships immediately and withdraw from our territory." Martinez straightened her uniform and stepped forward. She had dealt with alien races before, but never ones that seemed so aggressive. "This is Captain Martinez of the UES Defiance. According to the Galactic Accords, this space is neutral territory. We have every right to be here." The alien's laughter was like breaking glass. "Your Galactic Accords mean nothing to the Zephyrian Empire. We claim this space by right of our ancestors. You have 1 minute to surrender, or we will take your ships by force." Martinez looked around her bridge. Her crew was watching her, waiting for orders. These were good people who trusted her to make the right decision. She thought about the families back on Earth, the colonies depending on humanity's protection, and the other species who would be watching this encounter. "We will not surrender," she said firmly. "Humanity does not bow to threats." The channel went silent for a moment. Then Vexthul spoke again, his voice now filled with anger. "So be it. You will learn why the galaxy fears the Zephyrian Empire." The attack came without warning. Beams of pure energy lanced out from the crystal ships, striking the Defiance and her escort vessels. The bridge shook violently as the ship's shields flared and sparked. "Shields down to 60%. Morrison shouted over the noise. Martinez grabbed the arms of her captain's chair as another wave of enemy fire hit them. Through the view screen, she could see her escort ships fighting desperately. The Hornet, commanded by her old friend Captain Brown, was already showing signs of damage. Flames could be seen through broken sections of its hull. "Return fire," Martinez ordered. "All weapons, engage the enemy!" The Defiance's weapons came to life, sending missiles and energy beams toward the crystal ships. Some of their shots found their targets, causing explosions of light and debris. But for every hit they scored, the enemy returned 10 times as much firepower. Chief Engineer Danny Brooks called from the engine room. "Captain, we're losing power to the main systems. These aliens have weapons I've never seen before. They're cutting through our armor like it's paper." Martinez watched in horror as the escort ship Valkyrie exploded in a brilliant flash. 200 lives ended in an instant. The Thunderbolt was trying to escape, but enemy fighters swarmed around it like angry insects. "Captain," Amy Carter said quietly, "maybe we should consider evacuation." Martinez knew her first officer was right, but she hated the idea of running away. She had never lost a ship before. She had never failed to protect her crew. Another massive explosion rocked the Defiance. The lights flickered and Martinez could smell smoke in the air. Dr. Patricia Wells, their chief medical officer, was reporting casualties coming into the medical bay. "Captain," Morrison's voice was desperate now. "The Thunderbolt is gone. We're the only ship left." Through the view screen, Martinez could see the crystal ships moving closer. They were like predators circling wounded prey. The Defiance was hurt badly, with fires burning throughout the ship and systems failing everywhere. "Captain," Brooks called again, "I'm reading massive damage to the hull. Life support is failing on decks 5 through 12. We need to evacuate those sections." Martinez closed her eyes for a moment, thinking of all the training exercises, all the scenarios they had practiced. None of them had prepared her for this. The enemy was too strong, too advanced. Humanity's best technology was not enough. "All hands," she announced over the ship's communication system. "Prepare for evacuation. Non-essential personnel to the escape pods immediately." The crew moved quickly and efficiently, just as they had been trained. Martinez watched the tactical display as escape pods launched from the Defiance, carrying her people to safety. The Zephyrian ships let them go, which surprised her. She had expected the aliens to destroy the defenseless pods. "Captain," Carter said, "the pods are away. Most of the crew is safe." Martinez looked around her bridge. About 50 people had chosen to stay behind, including her senior officers and key personnel. They could have left with the others, but they stayed with their ship and their captain. War Commander Vexthul appeared on the communication screen again. His alien features were twisted into what might have been a smile. "Your species' arrogance ends here, human. You are broken, your ship is finished, and your people will learn to kneel before the Zephyrian Empire." Martinez stepped closer to the screen. Blood was running down her face from a cut on her forehead, and her uniform was torn and dirty. But her eyes were still fierce and determined. "You haven't won yet," she said quietly. The communication channel cut to static. Around her, the bridge crew worked at their damaged stations trying to keep their ship alive. Martinez looked out at the crystal ships surrounding them, beautiful and deadly in the starlight. The battle was over, but something told her the war was just beginning. The Zephyrian fleet spread out around the damaged Defiance like hunters watching their prey. War Commander Vexthul ordered his ships to maintain a safe distance, not because he feared the human vessel, but because he wanted to preserve it as a trophy. The broken human ship would serve as proof of Zephyrian power. Inside the Defiance, Captain Martinez walked through dark corridors lit only by emergency lights. The ship felt cold and empty with most of the crew gone. Her footsteps echoed in the silence as she made her way to the main engineering section. 47 people had chosen to stay behind when the evacuation order came. Martinez knew each of their names and faces. Chief Engineer Danny Brooks had refused to leave his engines. Sergeant Rick Stone and his Marines stayed to protect the ship. Dr. Kevin James remained to care for the wounded. Communications Specialist Helen Ross stayed at her post, monitoring alien transmissions. These people could have escaped safely, but they chose to remain with their captain and their ship. Martinez felt the weight of their trust and loyalty. In the engineering section, Brooks was working with a small team of technicians. They moved quietly through the damaged machinery, checking systems and making repairs where possible. The main reactor was offline and only emergency power kept basic life support running. "How bad is it, Danny?" Martinez asked. Brooks looked up from a control panel, his face grim. "Pretty bad, Captain. We've got hull breaches on 6 decks, the main reactor is shut down, and most of our weapon systems are destroyed. To anyone watching from outside, we look completely dead in the water." Martinez nodded. That was exactly what she wanted the aliens to think. "What about the other project?" she asked quietly. Brooks glanced around to make sure no one was listening, then led Martinez to a hidden section of engineering. Behind a concealed panel was a room that did not appear on any official ship blueprints. Inside was equipment that few people in the galaxy had ever seen. "Project Prometheus is intact," Brooks whispered. The installation was hidden so well that the alien weapons missed it completely. "But Captain, you know what this thing requires." Martinez knew. The experimental weapon system had been installed during their last visit to Luna Shipyard. Only she, Brooks, and a handful of Earth Command admirals knew it existed. The weapon was humanity's most secret project, designed as a last resort against overwhelming enemies. But the weapon had a terrible price. It required more power than the ship could normally generate, and it needed a human mind to control it. The targeting system was too complex for computers alone. It needed human intuition and creativity to work properly. "How long do we need to charge it?" Martinez asked. "At least 4 days, maybe 5, Brooks replied. "We'll have to route power from every system on the ship. That means no lights, no heat, no artificial gravity. We'll be living on emergency rations and breathing recycled air." Martinez thought about her crew scattered throughout the ship. They had already given up so much. Now she was asking them to endure even more hardship for a plan that might not work. "There's something else, Captain," Brooks said. "The neural interface system was damaged in the attack. If we're going to use this weapon, someone will have to undergo surgery to install new connections directly into their nervous system. It's dangerous and it might not work. Martinez understood what he was not saying. The surgery could kill her or leave her permanently damaged. And even if it worked, using the weapon might destroy her mind. Start the preparations, she ordered. Route all available power to the Prometheus system. Over the next few hours, the crew worked to prepare their trap. They had to be careful to make the ship appear completely powerless, while secretly building up energy for the weapon. Brooks and his engineers crawled through maintenance tunnels, rerouting power cables and bypassing damaged systems. Lieutenant Morrison and Lisa Park worked in the tactical center, using passive sensors to track the positions of enemy ships. They could not use active sensors, which would reveal that their systems were still functioning. Instead, they relied on intercepted communications and careful observation. Helen Ross monitored Zephyrian transmissions, slowly learning their language and communication patterns. The aliens were broadcasting news of their victory throughout their empire, showing images of the defeated human ship as proof of their superior power. Dr. James prepared the medical bay for the surgery Martinez would need. The neural interface system required delicate work, connecting quantum filaments directly to her brain and nervous system. One mistake could kill her instantly. Martinez spent her time visiting different sections of the ship, talking to her remaining crew members. She wanted to make sure they understood what they were attempting and what the risks were. Every person had the right to change their mind and try to escape in the remaining shuttle pods. But no one left. Sergeant Stone and his Marines prepared defensive positions in case the aliens boarded the ship. The engineering teams worked around the clock to prepare the weapon system. Even the ship's cook, an elderly man named Pete Wilson, stayed to prepare meals for the crew. "Why are you all doing this?" Martinez asked during one of their quiet moments together. "Because you're doing it, Captain," Stone replied. "We've seen how you care about this crew, how you always put us first. If you're willing to risk everything to stop these aliens, then so are we." The others nodded in agreement. Martinez felt tears in her eyes, but she did not let them fall. These people were counting on her to be strong. On the third day, Brooks reported that the weapon was almost ready. The ship's power grid had been completely rewired, with every available energy source feeding into the Prometheus system. The Defiance looked dead from the outside, drifting powerless in space, but inside it was building up energy like a compressed spring. Martinez underwent the neural interface surgery on the fourth day. Dr. James worked for 6 hours, carefully implanting quantum filaments into her brainstem and nervous system. She refused pain medication, knowing that any drugs might interfere with the delicate neural connections. The pain was beyond anything she had ever experienced, but she endured it without making a sound. Her crew watched in amazement as their captain sacrificed her body for the mission. When the surgery was complete, Martinez could feel something different in her mind. The quantum filaments created connections to the ship's computer systems that allowed her to perceive data in ways no human had ever experienced. She could sense the flow of energy through the ship's circuits and feel the electromagnetic signatures of the alien vessels around them. "How do you feel, Captain?" Dr. James asked. Martinez looked at her reflection in a mirror. Thin scars ran along her temples where the filaments had been inserted, and her eyes seemed to glow with an inner light. "Different," she said. "I can feel the ship like it's part of my body. And I can sense the alien ships out there, waiting for us to die." Brooks activated the final connections, and Martinez felt the full power of the Prometheus weapon system flowing through her consciousness. The sensation was overwhelming at first, like trying to hold an ocean in her hands, but gradually she learned to control it. Through the ship's sensors, she could perceive the entire Zephyrian fleet in perfect detail. 37 crystal ships arranged in a complex formation, their exact positions and movements mapped in her mind. The weapon was ready. Now they had to wait for the right moment to strike. War Commander Vexthul was reviewing reports from across the Zephyrian Empire when his sensors began screaming warnings. Every instrument on his bridge suddenly detected impossible energy readings from the supposedly dead human ship. "What is happening?" he demanded, staring at displays that showed energy levels beyond anything in Zephyrian science. His tactical officer worked frantically at his station, trying to understand the readings. "Commander, the human vessel is generating power signatures that exceed our theoretical maximums. It should be impossible for a ship that size." Through the main view screen, Vexthul watched the dark human ship with growing alarm. For 5 days it had drifted powerless and defeated. Now it seemed to pulse with inner light, as if awakening from death itself. Inside the Defiance, Captain Martinez experienced consciousness unlike anything in human history. The neural interface connected her mind directly to the quantum weapon system, allowing her to perceive reality at the subatomic level. She could see the dance of particles that held matter together, the invisible forces that shaped space and time. Through the ship's sensors, she observed the 37 Zephyrian vessels in perfect mathematical detail. Their crystalline hulls were works of art and engineering, grown rather than built, shaped by forces that humans barely understood. But the neural connection revealed their hidden weakness. The exotic matter that made their ship so beautiful and strong had a natural resonance frequency. Like a singer shattering glass with the perfect note, the right quantum vibration could cause their molecular bonds to collapse. It was elegant and terrible, requiring precision beyond normal human capability. Energy at maximum, Chief Engineer Brooks reported from his hidden station. Captain, we have maybe 30 seconds before the power drain kills our life support completely. Martinez felt the weapon's readiness through every nerve in her body. The quantum cores contained enough energy to reshape local space-time, but only for a few moments. After that, the Defiance would be truly powerless, drifting dead in space with no way to restore systems. All ships in optimal position, Lieutenant Morrison announced. This is our moment, Captain. The Zephyrian formation had rotated into the precise alignment that would allow the quantum weapon to strike every target simultaneously. It was a window of opportunity that lasted less than 90 seconds, and it would not come again. Martinez opened her eyes, which now glowed with quantum fire from the neural interface. She could perceive the invisible threads that connected all matter in the universe, the fundamental forces that most minds could never comprehend. This is Captain Lisa Martinez of the UES Defiance, she announced on all communication frequencies. Her voice carried across space to every ship and station within light years, reaching human colonies, alien outposts, and the Zephyrian fleet itself. War Commander Vexthul heard the transmission and laughed with contempt. The human captain thinks to threaten us from her dying ship? What can one broken vessel do against the might of our empire? But his laughter died when he saw the energy readings spike beyond his instrument's ability to measure. The human ship was no longer dark and powerless. It blazed with light that seemed to bend space itself around it. You believed I was down, Martinez continued, her voice calm and filled with absolute certainty. You thought humanity was defeated. You were wrong. Through the neural interface, she felt the quantum weapon reach perfect alignment with its targets. The mathematics were flawless, the timing precise. Every calculation pointed to complete success, but Martinez hesitated for one crucial moment. The weapon system was showing her something unexpected. The quantum energy could indeed destroy the Zephyrian ships, but it could do so much more. With the right application, it could manipulate matter itself, transforming rather than merely destroying. Martinez realized that this moment would define not just the battle, but humanity's relationship with the galaxy. She could win through pure destruction, proving that humans were as capable of violence as any alien race. Or she could demonstrate something that no other species had achieved, showing mastery over the fundamental forces of creation itself. Commander, the Zephyrian tactical officer reported with growing panic. Their energy signature is off our measurement scale. We've never seen anything like this. Vexthul watched the human ship with growing fear. In all his years of conquest, he had never encountered technology that his science could not understand. The impossible energy reading suggested power sources beyond Zephyrian comprehension. All ships, he ordered, prepare to fire. Destroy that vessel immediately. But even as his fleet began to charge their weapons, Vexthul knew they were too late. The human ship had been preparing for this moment while pretending to be defeated. Whatever was about to happen, his forces were powerless to stop it. Martinez felt the Zephyrian weapons beginning to charge, their crystalline hulls glowing as they prepared to fire. But they moved too slowly, thinking in terms of conventional warfare while she operated on quantum timescales. You want to see human arrogance, she said, her voice carrying across all frequencies. Then witness what happens when humanity refuses to surrender. The neural interface showed her the perfect moment of alignment. Every enemy ship was positioned exactly where the mathematics required. The quantum weapon held enough energy to accomplish what she had planned. But she would have only one chance. Martinez reached out through the ship's systems, her consciousness expanding to encompass the entire battlefield. She could feel the quantum cores building toward critical discharge, reality itself preparing to bend to human will. "This is not just about one battle," she announced. "This is about what humanity represents in this galaxy. We don't just survive. We don't just fight. When we fall, we rise. When we rise, we transcend." War Commander Vexthul realized that his fleet was facing something completely outside his experience. The human captain was not speaking like a desperate enemy making final threats. She spoke with the confidence of someone who had already won. "What are you?" he whispered, staring at the blazing human ship. Through the neural link, Martinez felt his question reach her consciousness. For a moment, she saw herself through alien eyes, a human mind merged with quantum technology, wielding forces that reshape the fundamental structure of matter. "I am what humanity becomes," she replied. "When you push us too far." The quantum weapon reached perfect readiness. Every system calculation confirmed optimal firing conditions. The moment had arrived to demonstrate that underestimating humanity was the last mistake the Zephyrian Empire would ever make. Martinez smiled, her consciousness expanding beyond human limitations as she prepared to rewrite the laws of physics themselves. The galaxy was about to learn that human ingenuity combined with desperate determination could achieve the impossible. The weapon fired, reality bending to accommodate human will. War Commander Vexthul stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the drifting human vessel with satisfaction. 5 days had passed since the battle, and the alien ship showed no signs of life. Occasional power fluctuations suggested that emergency systems were failing one by one, exactly as he expected. The Zephyrian commander had received praise from the Imperial High Command for his easy victory. Images of the defeated human ship were being broadcast throughout Zephyrian space as proof of their military superiority. Other alien races were taking notice, and many were already requesting to join the Empire rather than face similar destruction. "Commander," his tactical officer reported, "our sensors continue to show the human ship losing power. Their life support systems appear to be failing." Vexthul nodded with satisfaction. He had decided to let the humans die slowly, rather than destroy them quickly. Their suffering would serve as a better example to other species who might consider resisting Zephyrian expansion. What the alien commander did not know was that every sensor reading was carefully planned by Captain Martinez and her crew. Using microdrones no larger than insects, they created false power signatures and fake system failures. The performance was so convincing that even the most advanced Zephyrian sensors could not detect the deception. Inside the Defiance, the crew worked in almost complete darkness. Emergency lighting had been shut off to conserve power for the weapon system. The temperature had dropped below freezing, and the crew wore heavy coats salvaged from survival kits. Their breath formed clouds in the cold air as they moved through the ship like ghosts. Chief Engineer Brooks monitored the power flow to the Prometheus weapon from a hidden control room deep in the ship's core. Every available energy source had been connected to the system, from the main reactor to the smallest backup battery. The weapon was drawing power at a rate that should have been impossible for a ship the size of the Defiance. "How much longer?" Martinez asked. She was connected to the neural interface system, feeling the gradual buildup of energy in the weapon's quantum cores. 6 hours, maybe less," Brooks replied. "But Captain, when we fire this thing, it's going to drain every bit of power we have. We'll have maybe 30 seconds of life support left after the shot." Martinez understood. This was truly a do-or-die moment. If the weapon failed, or if she missed her targets, the crew would die when their life support systems shut down. There would be no second chance. Lieutenant Morrison worked at a tactical station lit only by the glow of his instruments. He and Lisa Park had spent days calculating firing solutions based on the movement patterns of the Zephyrian ships. The aliens maintained a complex formation that rotated slowly around the disabled human vessel. "The enemy ships follow a precise pattern," Morrison reported. "Every 12 hours they rotate their positions. For exactly 90 seconds, their formation creates a vulnerability where all ships are aligned in a specific geometric pattern." Martinez felt this information flow through the neural interface. Her enhanced perception allowed her to see the mathematics of the alien formation as clearly as if it were drawn on paper. The quantum weapon could exploit this brief moment of vulnerability, but the timing had to be perfect. Dr. James continued to monitor Martinez's vital signs as the neural connections grew stronger. The quantum filaments in her brain were changing her in ways they did not fully understand. Her perception of time and space was becoming different from normal human experience. "I can see them all," Martinez whispered. "Every ship, every energy signature, every structural weakness. The neural interface is showing me things that shouldn't be possible." Helen Ross intercepted a communication from the Zephyrian High Command. "Captain, I'm picking up new orders for their fleet. They're planning to destroy us in 18 hours and move on to attack the human colony at New Boston." The news hit Martinez like a physical blow. New Boston was home to 50,000 civilians, including children and families who had never seen war. If the Zephyrian fleet reached that colony, it would be a massacre. "We can't wait for the perfect moment," Martinez decided. "We have to strike during the next alignment, even if the weapon isn't fully charged." Brooks shook his head. "Captain, at 80% charge, the weapon might not be powerful enough to destroy all their ships. We'd only get one shot." "Then we make that one shot count," Martinez replied. The crew made final preparations as the moment approached. Sergeant Stone and his Marines took positions throughout the ship in case any Zephyrians tried to board them during the attack. The engineering team stood ready to restore life support systems the instant after the weapon fired. Martinez floated in the zero gravity of the command center, connected to cables and quantum interfaces that made her look more like a part of the ship than a human being. Through the neural link, she could perceive the approaching alignment of enemy vessels with mathematical precision. The Zephyrian ships began their rotation, moving into the formation that Morrison had identified. Martinez felt the weapon systems responding to her thoughts, targeting computers, calculating trajectories and power levels faster than any human mind could normally process. 30 seconds to optimal firing position, Morrison announced. Martinez closed her eyes and let her consciousness expand through the ship's systems. She could feel every circuit, every power conduit, every quantum fluctuation in the experimental weapon. The boundary between her human intuition and the ship's artificial intelligence dissolved completely. Through the sensors, she perceived the crystal ships in perfect detail. Their hulls were made of an exotic material that bent light and absorbed energy, making them nearly invulnerable to conventional weapons. But the neural interface revealed something that no computer analysis had detected. The crystalline structure of their hulls had a natural resonance frequency, like a wine glass that could be shattered by the right musical note. If she could target that specific frequency with the quantum weapon, she might be able to destabilize their entire molecular structure. 15 seconds, Morrison called. Martinez felt the weapon reach full readiness. Every system on the ship had been drained to power this single shot. The quantum cores were glowing with energy that threatened to tear holes in space itself. 10 seconds. The Zephyrian ships moved into perfect alignment, their formation creating the geometric pattern that would allow the weapon to strike all targets simultaneously. 5 seconds. Martinez opened her eyes, which now glowed with quantum energy from the neural interface. She could see beyond normal human perception, watching the dance of particles and waves that held the universe together. Fire. But instead of firing immediately, Martinez hesitated. Through the neural link, she had discovered something unexpected about the quantum weapon. It didn't just destroy targets with brute force. It could manipulate the fundamental structure of matter itself, unmaking objects at the atomic level. This was not just a weapon of destruction, but a tool of creation and transformation. In the right hands, with the right understanding, it could reshape reality according to human will and imagination. The moment of perfect alignment was passing. But Martinez had seen something greater than military victory. She had glimpsed humanity's true potential in the galaxy. The weapon fired. The quantum weapon discharged with a sound that existed beyond normal hearing, a vibration that touched every atom in local space. What happened next challenged every law of physics that the galaxy thought it understood. Captain Martinez, her consciousness merged with the weapon system, did not simply destroy the Zephyrian fleet. Instead, she targeted the specific quantum frequency that held their crystalline hulls together. With surgical precision that only human intuition could achieve, she struck at the molecular bonds of exotic matter itself. Across 37 ships simultaneously, the crystalline structures began to resonate at their natural harmonic frequency. The effect started slowly like ripples spreading across the surface of a pond, then it accelerated exponentially as the quantum cascade built momentum. War Commander Vexthul watched in horror as his flagship began to sing. The crystalline hull produced musical notes that grew louder and more complex with each passing second. Around him, his crew stared in amazement as their ship became a living instrument, creating melodies that had never been heard in the universe. "What is happening to us?" his tactical officer cried, watching displays that showed their ship's molecular structure beginning to fluctuate. Vexthul had no answer. In all the history of Zephyrian conquest, nothing like this had ever occurred. Their ships were not being destroyed by conventional weapons or explosive force. They were being undone at the fundamental level of reality itself. Through the neural interface, Martinez felt every ship's transformation as if she were conducting a symphony of physics. The precision required was beyond measurement. She had to simultaneously track quantum states across dozens of targets while maintaining perfect harmonic synchronization. It was not destruction, but transformation. The exotic matter that formed the Zephyrian hulls was not being annihilated, but returned to its component elements. The process created cascades of rainbow light as crystalline structures dissolved into clouds of glowing particles. "Impossible," Vexthul whispered, as his ship began to dissolve around him. "How did they know our weakness?" The answer came to him in his final moments. Humans had not known about the resonance frequency through intelligence gathering or scientific analysis. They had discovered it through something that Zephyrian science could never replicate, the indefinable quality that humans called intuition. Martinez, operating on levels of consciousness that transcended normal human thought, had perceived patterns that should not have been visible. The neural interface had allowed her to see beyond conventional physics, recognizing the hidden harmony that held exotic matter together. One by one, the crystal ships dissolved into their component atoms. The process was beautiful and terrible, creating light displays that illuminated the entire system. It looked like 37 stars being born and dying simultaneously, a cosmic fireworks display that spoke of forces beyond normal comprehension. When it was over, the silence of space returned. The Defiance floated alone among glittering clouds of dispersed matter, the only solid object remaining in what had been a massive battlefield. The enemy fleet had simply ceased to exist, transformed from ships of war into drifting streams of harmless particles. Martinez collapsed in her command chair as the neural interface shut down. Blood streamed from her nose and ears where the quantum connection had pushed her mind beyond human limits. The weapon's energy discharge had drained every system on the ship, leaving them in complete darkness once again. But they were alive, and the enemy was gone. Chief Engineer Brooks managed to restore emergency power to essential systems. The ship's lights flickered back to life, and breathable atmosphere began circulating through the corridors once more. "Captain," Brooks called over the communication system, "all enemy vessels have been neutralized. No survivors detected." Martinez wiped blood from her face and looked at the tactical display. Where 37 warships had been moments before, there were now only scattered clouds of glowing particles slowly dispersing into space. "Status report," she said weakly. Lieutenant Morrison checked his instruments with amazement. "Captain, sensors confirm complete destruction of the Zephyrian fleet. All ships eliminated simultaneously. 0 casualties on our side." Dr. James rushed to Martinez's side, checking her vital signs and the neural interface connections. "Captain, you need medical attention immediately. The quantum connection has caused severe neurological stress." Martinez waved him away gently. She felt different, permanently changed by the experience of merging her consciousness with forces that governed the universe itself. The neural interface had left her with perceptions that no human should possess, but she was alive and her crew was safe. "Communications," she ordered. "Open a channel to all frequencies." Helen Ross worked at her station, establishing contact with Earth Command, nearby colonies, and any vessels within range. Martinez's next words would be heard across the galaxy, carried by relay stations to every civilized system. "This is Captain Lisa Martinez of the UES Defiance," she began, her voice weak but steady. "The Zephyrian threat has been neutralized. All enemy vessels have been eliminated with 0 human casualties." She paused, looking out at the dispersing clouds that had once been an invading fleet. "Let this be a message to any species that believes humanity can be easily defeated. We may fall, we may seem broken, but we rise. And when we rise, we don't just survive. We transcend. We find solutions that shouldn't exist. We see patterns that logic says aren't there. And we turn apparent defeat into absolute victory. Across the galaxy, the transmission was received by thousands of species. The story spread quickly through interstellar communication networks, reaching alien governments, military commanders, and civilian populations throughout known space. The species that had once seen humans as primitive newcomers began to reassess their assumptions. If a single human ship could eliminate an entire Zephyrian battle fleet through methods that defied known science, what other capabilities might humanity possess? Any species considering aggression against human space should remember this moment. Martinez continued. We don't seek conflict, but we will not surrender to those who threaten our people. And we possess capabilities that your science cannot predict or understand. The message was clear and unmistakable. Humanity was not just another emerging species to be conquered or ignored. They were something new in the galaxy, possessing qualities that made them uniquely dangerous to their enemies and valuable to their allies. As rescue ships arrived from Earth and the scattered escape pods were recovered, the story of Martinez and her crew spread across human space. They had faced impossible odds and found a way to win through courage, sacrifice, and the uniquely human ability to see solutions where none should exist. The Defiance was eventually recovered and rebuilt, stronger than before. But the real victory was not technological or military. It was philosophical. Humanity had proven that they belonged among the stars not because of superior firepower or advanced technology, but because of their capacity to transcend limitations that other species accepted as absolute. Captain Martinez recovered from her injuries. Though the neural interface left permanent changes in her brain structure, she could still perceive quantum fluctuations in ways no human should be able to, seeing patterns in reality that remained invisible to others. She returned to active duty, but she was no longer just a starship captain. She had become something unprecedented in galactic history, humanity's first quantum warrior, a bridge between human intuition and the fundamental forces that governed the universe. The galaxy took notice, and the galaxy began to understand that underestimating humanity was a mistake no species could afford to make twice. In the swirling particle clouds that had once been the Zephyrian fleet, a new chapter of human expansion had begun. The stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, welcoming humanity as equals among the civilizations of the galaxy.